It is 4:10, and so I certainly want to welcome you to Legos. Yes, Legos, the Lego Serious Play event, and I am your facilitator, Loretta Veney, and I thank you so much for joining us today. And today is just quite the special day. It is my mother's, what would have been her 93rd birthday today. So when I saw the date of this event, I was just thrilled. And there she is in all her all her glory with her Lego bricks. And so we're going to just do, a quick welcome, which I'm doing now, tell you our story, give you a little bit about what Lego Serious Play is. It is the number one question I get all the time. But mostly we're going to build and share. So hopefully you have either some Lego bricks with you, safety pins, paper clips, whatever you have. We're going to put it together. Dominoes, whatever you have. We're going to build some stuff and share some things. But more than anything, I hope in this very fast session, we're going to have a lot of fun. So, just keep yourself muted. This drill by now, you want to keep yourself muted unless you are talking. You can see at the bottom how to unmute yourself. That's pretty cool and pretty easy. So, our story. So my mom was diagnosed with dementia in 2006, and at the time she was 77 years old. But Lego bricks had been in our lives since I was 5. She got me my first set when I was 5. And so fast forward, I never outgrew that hobby. I did it a lot as an adult, as a stress reduction, kind of thing. And so by 2014, when she no longer remembered who I was, she clearly remembered our lifelong connection through these Lego bricks, and that kept our communication alive. She would find a word without being frustrated. She would be calm as opposed to agitated when she couldn't do something. So the Lego bricks kept her focused, kept her happy, and it kept her, very, very calm. And today she would have been 93 years old, as I said, before she died almost 3 weeks ago. And wow, I thought sure she would survive to her birthday. She did not, but we had a lot of bonus time in there too. So obviously I'm dedicating this event to her and her Wonder Woman spirit for sure. So just a brief introduction to the Lego Corporation. Lots of people don't know, for example, that it is a Danish company. It was started in Denmark in 1932 by Ole Kirk Christiansen. And then what was interesting was that it took him 3 years to find a name, but what a name he found. It is Lego. It is the combination of two Danish words, leg and gut, which in English means to play well. Now, me and Mom, we didn't just play well, we played awesome. And it's, just 16 years I'm, never going to forget. So Lego then created a methodology called Lego Serious Play. And there's a little bit of dispute about whether it was created in 1999 or 2000, but anyway, it was a long time ago. And it has gone through a variety of changes and enhancements, but the sole purpose of its creation was to help them improve their internal processes. Could they make the bricks faster? Could they sell more? It was at the same time that electronic games started to come into play. And so one of the things I love and the lesson I want us as caregivers to take away from this is that we can always make improvements in ourselves and our organizations if we look internally. So that's what I want you to take away from Lego Serious Play. And playing, if you have not done so in a long time, after today, I want you to think about playing differently, particularly when playing with Lego bricks, because they help us to reflect and recharge. And we're going to do a little bit of that today, I hope. So when I get the question, is Lego Serious Play a real thing? What is this thing? It is a real thing. I am a trained facilitator, and to sort of enhance my communication. It is a communication tool. It helps organizations and individuals, see better, see new strategies, build literally new strategies. And that is my class. So when my mother started to lose her words and not remember me, that's when I got the the facilitator training so I could be the best for her I could be. It was a week-long class, one of the most challenging classes I took, but also one of the most fun. And who knew COVID was coming? I'm not only a trained facilitator in the in-person method, but there's my online certificate at the top of the screen too. So I've been doing this for a minute, but it is an absolute joy. So how does this work? Basically, you can do a variety of different things, but here is the 4 parts of Lego Serious Play. First, as the facilitator, I give you a task or a question, and typically when I'm hired by someone, they tell me what they want the session to achieve. I want team building. I want my caregivers to be uplifted. I want my mom with dementia to be calm. Okay, and then I build different questions as a facilitator to support their goal. The second thing is then everybody agrees to build to that task. And then everybody agrees to share what they built. And then probably one of the more revealing part of Lego Serious Play is the reflection piece. So at the end of the couple of rounds we're going to be able to do today, what happens at the end of it is I sort of repeat what I've heard that we've built and you've shown. And so it's a very interesting process. And for those of us who, sometimes we count our loved ones out, oh, they can't do that anymore. I can't even begin to put into words how amazing it is when they go back to 1939 or wherever about their first car that brought them joy. And you're like, 1939? Okay, it is. And I don't know why it is. I can't explain that, but I know it's cool. And so these are the 4 parts: the task or question, building, sharing, and reflecting. And as part of us for caregivers, self-care, the reflection part you're doing internally helps you get to that next day as a caregiver and that next day after that. So when I give you the instructions to build in just a couple of minutes, how are you going to build something profound in a few minutes in this short session and, make it look like something? Well, here's how you're going to do it. We use metaphors. The key to the success of Lego Serious Play are the metaphors. So when I give you the task in a couple of minutes, you're going to transform your thoughts into this metaphor. And metaphors, of course, help you to unlock our imaginations. It's cool. So you see that brick on the left-hand side of the screen? It's a green brick. It is what Lego calls a standard brick, a 2x4, 2 studs on top, 4 that go down the side. And so when you look at it, it's like, oh, yeah, it's a green brick. But no, suppose I was to tell you it's an organization looking to grow. Get it? Green, growth, you get it, right? Okay. So here's the beauty of it. It doesn't really matter what you build. Whatever the story is you share, your bricks or whatever it is you're using today, is just going to become whatever you tell us that it is. That is the coolest part of all. And so what I have found in the now more than 7 years that I have been a Lego Serious Play facilitator is, listening to each other's stories is as important and as powerful as the models that we're building themselves. And anytime, if you've been in any kind of support groups, you know how uplifting it can be, and supportive to hear other people's stories. So that is the key. Whatever it is you're going to be building in our session, whatever you tell us it is, we're going to go with that and we're going to just cheer for you. So it is that time. We are going to, grab whatever it is that you're using today, whether it's, Lego bricks, large Duplo bricks, whatever it is, dominoes, paper clips, color pencils. I had a gentleman draw last week and he could really draw too. Whatever you have, we're going to go with it. But what you're looking at on the screen is my inspiration kit. Lego does make a kit called the Explorations bag that is used in Lego Serious Play. I like the kit, but I also like mine. I developed this kit that had bright colors in it that the folks with dementia could really relate to. And I added a heart because as caregivers, we need a lot of love. And here is that heart. And so that's one of the things in my bag. And so I have about 47 pieces in my kit. But if you're doing that for your own self-care or you're working with other caregivers for their self-care, all you really need, honestly, especially if you're doing a usual session is an hour and a half to 2 hours for like 15 to 20 people, where you could adequately go around in a circle and fully hear what everybody is saying. And so there are 47 pieces and 2 Lego minifigures in my kit, but a kit really can be anything, just to be honest with you. So I hope you all are ready, because we're going to do a practice task. Yay. So whatever you have to work with today, I'm going to give you 1 minute to build a bridge. And I'm going to tell you why we're doing that in a minute. And then I'm going to minimize the slides so that I can see some of you. So here's how we're going to do this. We don't have time for everybody to share their bridge, but what I'd like for you to do is when we get to the end of the building task, I'd like for you to put in the chat what the meaning of your bridge is. So your minute starts now. Go for it. And I'll count us down with my little counter, and then we'll go to our next task. Yes, Jenny, there was a reason why you saved all those Legos. And don't throw them things away. I have people, now regretting that they sold their kids' collection, and it's been stunning where people have. It's really amazing, given me their kids' collection, and the kids have been so thrilled that it's going to someone that can use it with folks with dementia and caregivers to uplift themselves. I mean, I have received so many Lego gifts of late that had just been amazing. My mother would be stunned if she were here. So, that's pretty cool. So if anybody wants to take themselves, show their camera and show what they're built, that would be fabulous. And we have like 10 seconds left. And then I'll ask some of you to share. Oh, that's okay, Marlene, that's fine. Don't go anywhere. Stay right where you are. Don't go anywhere. You can hopefully just learn from this, and I can talk with the best of them. So it'll be good. It'll be just fine. And I want to definitely just give you some ideas too, as we go through. But if you have, so Jenny, I'm assuming you have Lego bricks. And so Jenny, I might pick on you to share what you have built with the group. Laura, let me definitely answer that. Yes, you definitely can do it for all stages. I have a couple of pictures that you'll see of my mom that are amazing, when she could do nothing else at that point except the Lego brick. So it's been really amazing, for me. So Jenny, I'm going to go ahead and pick on you. Can you turn your camera on and then share with us what you built, your bridge, what it looks like?
Yeah, I see the unmute, but I don't see camera.
So is it next to that? Because on my screen I have the little microphone, and then I have a camera icon.
I wonder if it's because you're in the host mode.
It could be, but it said that if we had fewer than 30 people, we'd be able to undo the cameras too. So I'm hoping that's true.
Okay. I'm looking around.
I'm looking too. We'll give you a second. I am looking. I'm trying to see if I could unmute. I could give you access. Let's see. Oh, that Katrina, that's fabulous. That is I don't see how to let you turn your camera on, Jenny. Yikes. Let's see.
Well, my bridge isn't that great, but I know I'm probably not supposed to say.
Tell us what it is. Tell us what your story was behind the bridge that you built.
Oh gosh, I guess the only story is, it's just a white bridge. It's my.
Wait a minute. I think I can see it now. Hold on. Let me stop. I think I know what it is. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. That might be it. There we go. Can you do it now? You see the camera button now?
I don't. Yeah.
But I like that story. Finish your story. What were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not a huge story. Just it actually is kind of nice. I just pulled these out of my attic. They're actually Legos that one of my kids bought in high school. So it's like all these. They're all white. Like they're supposed to be sort of
Lego architectural.
So that's sort of cool. And I just pieced together a very rudimentary bridge, but it's fun because I haven't pulled these out in 10 years.
Isn't
And
that?
I'm just so thrilled to see you in action doing this because I've heard about it for so long. Thank you
Oh,
for
that's very cool.
Thanks for picking on me.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I'm gonna share my screen again. If anybody, I'm looking through the chat. Katrina, I just love that. I tell you, that is so cool. I'm gonna share again so that you can see the slide. We'll go back to the slides for a second. And, if you're doing this for, self-care thing, I want you to think of bridges in a different way. When I work with organizations that are working with, families, it might be a support group of families or families who maybe aren't getting along that well. They want different types of care for their loved one. And so a lot of times when I have people build a bridge, I'm trying to build bridge relationships too. Maybe there's something they need to forgive, or a bridge to more patience as a caregiver. And so some of the stories earlier this morning when I did this, some of the stories that came out of those bridges, there were two people who were trying to bridge, some of those relationships and communicate more effectively with their loved one. So I want you to think about all of that, as we go. So if we ever figure out the camera angle, I would suggest that you take a picture. If you built something with whatever you're using, take a picture of it. And as you can see, this gentleman here, he's from Johns Hopkins Medicine. They're my largest partner. And so if we figure out our camera thing, you hold it up to your camera like he's doing, and then point to the different things that are part of your story. And so that's cool. So if I had to recap this, take a look at the picture of my mom in that picture. And one of the things that I am going to miss most about her is that whenever she built anything, she would fold her hands together and just stare at it, so proud of what she had done. Now, this was 3 months ago. It was in November 6th, and just 2.5 months before she died. And we were talking about bridges, and look at that picture. That's what she brought. And the only words she could get out were cross over. And I don't know where that came from. She hadn't said much, those last couple of months. And to be able to equate bridges with crossing over, and the fact that she, is also not only no longer with us, that could have other connotations too. So one of the things I do in this recap section, as I mentioned earlier, with folks that I am working with, is I want them to reflect on, where they go from here. So after we finished this with the bridge, we kept going. Whenever she was finding words, I would do as much as she wanted to do. And then when I got home that evening, she lived in a group home. And then when I got home that evening, I built a lot of things on my own. Because before we started today, I was having a great dialogue with the folks who were on early, and we were talking about how it can be used for self-care. And I said any post I put up on social media always says Lego is my therapy, because I wanted it not only to help my mom, but to also help me. So that would be how I would recap the bridges. A lot of things you can do with bridges and Lego bricks and caregiving, for sure. It's a great topic to build. Now, the next thing I want you to do, and like I said, don't worry that we can't show them. We're gonna, we'll work through this with no problem. The first thing I want you to do as a caregiver, and you can draw, if you have a piece of paper next to you, draw something, and I might just call on you and you can just tell me what it is that brings you the greatest joy. And you can think about it in terms of caregiving, but because this is a self-care thing, I want you to think first of what brings you joy outside of caregiving. So you see the little figures on the screen there, and again, in this segment, I would give you a couple of minutes. If everybody had bricks, I would give you a couple of minutes to do that. But what I can do is share with some of you. So those of you who have bricks, please build what brings you joy, and then I'll allow you to, if you raise your hand, I'll allow you to talk to it. Now, one of the things I've done with these slides is I've counted people down. People are like, 2 minutes. We only have 2 minutes to build, but you'd be stunned by some of the things that folks come up with in 2 minutes. The session this morning was mind blowing. And it was a salute to my mom on her birthday. And I had them building superpowers. Wow. And the things that they came up with some Lego bricks would just absolutely blow you away. And some of them had never touched, two of them in particular had never touched Lego bricks. And then we had people from as far away as New Zealand and the Netherlands on that call to honor my mom. And so it'll count down in just a minute. When it gets to it, it'll count down and you'll hear a little symbol. But I'll give you some other strategy things too about joy. Now, when I work with folks who are especially individual caregivers and we're doing it in a group, I try to find happy things for them to build. And so if the facilitator of the support group or whatever group I'm working with, if they don't have ideas, I can give them some. So we have built joy, hope, overcoming caregiver challenges. We have built being, in nature. People have wanted to, in COVID, remember for a while, we weren't even supposed to go outside. And so people miss nature more than anything. So people wanted to build that, something that gave them the feeling of, actually being outside. And so I want you to think about this in terms of, where you can take this out and on your own. And the reason why I encourage everybody to take a photo of what they build on all rounds, and typically, as I mentioned earlier, in a hour and a half to 2 hour session, you can typically get in 3 rounds of building. You can have everybody do their bridge, or you can build a tower in that first feeling of the bricks, getting to know the bricks kind of thing. But when you get into the actual meat of the thing, I have the seniors, for example, like in the very early stages, just diagnosed with dementia. I get them to build their bucket list, because I think we give up sometimes too early on them. And so, they're just going to sit in the corner now, they have dementia. No, they still have bucket lists. We have the best time building our bucket list. And I don't want to cry, but there have been some, stunning thing. This gentleman, who was a veteran, built his favorite base when he was in the military, and he had flags. It was quite the thing, and they hadn't seen anything that creative with him. It was a Sunrise Senior Living, and he hadn't done anything like that. And he told his story of all his mates that he was friends with. It was just crazy. So I encourage you to think outside the box. What would be some of the best topics for you all to build to? And you can just do it like a deck of cards. I have like 52 cards with different emotions on it. I have people build to that. If you saw my social media post about building how my mother felt when she was first diagnosed, she took the head off of the minifigure and said she felt like in a few years her head was going to come off. And it probably was liked by thousands of people on social media. So I want you to think about those kinds of things. So did anybody have Legos and a story that they want to build about what brings them joy? Or if you want to write it in the chat, you can do that. Anybody want to unmute themselves and share what they built if you had the opportunity to build something? Laura, did I see your mic come on?
Yeah, I have a question to ask you.
Sure, go ahead.
So I've done Legos with my mom. I've never done your process, which I love, by the way. I also love it to do. I teach virtual school. And so I love the whole process just of inquiry for my kindergarten first graders.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to steal it and use it in my classroom. Please but I also love it for my mother. But we've done it more. We're using the Duplos because her hands just can't put together the little ones.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's in the final stages. She just got diagnosed. She's on a 7 on the cognitive scale. So if that tells you where she is. Yeah. But we've also done kits with her, and then her caregiver has helped her put them together to actually make it as a kit. Yes. And then the kits are usually something of a memory of hers. Like we just bought her an airplane because my dad and her son-in-law and her daughter all fly. Yes. And then that brings up memories. Have you ever done things like that?
Yes. And so I have done virtually and in person, building their favorite holiday memory, their favorite vacation. And lots of tears were over this cruise ship. I wish I had handy. I'd throw it up on the screen for you. But it was a niece who was this woman, 92-year-old woman's only living relative. And she brought her husband. So I had small kits for them. And then they used Duplos, and they built this cruise ship, and it really did look like a cruise ship. And the cruise was 15 years ago. And the woman, I was told, didn't talk. And when they started putting that cruise ship together, and I have a picture with all three hands on this building thing. And in the middle of the building, the woman says, "I had fun line dancing." And the place just went silent. Like, what did she say? She said she had fun doing, and the niece burst into tears. She said, "You remember that, Auntie?" She was like, "Of course I remember the line dance." And she remembered the midnight buffet too, and it was 15 years ago. And so if you're wondering, like, well, why she never said that before? Because she didn't have the model in front of her. So I think, yeah, we can, that kit you had, I mean, it sounds fabulous. And I think when they get into the middle stages, it would be more difficult to follow the instructions. But at the same time, you know, it could definitely work for a while. I chose my pieces based on feedback from, you know, some of my clients. So in the Memory Cafe kit, for example, I have 7 Duplo pieces. And if you know Lego, you know the pieces do lock together. So you really can do a joint, you know, session. And you know what's cool, what somebody wrote me was they had done a joint session with their dad. And she said, "I bought these bricks, like you said, for my self-care." She said, "But it helped with my self-care because he's not nearly as aggressive as he used to be. So, you know, playing with him really has helped me." And so I didn't see that coming, but I'm very happy about it. So I think, you know, the more we investigate and try, Laura, I would certainly suggest, you know, taking some notes on what works. I was asked by some folks in the UK to sort of track this because nobody is apparently doing any research on Lego's impact. I only found 2 actual research articles about using Lego bricks with folks with dementia. So I'm going to be doing some work with some of the folks in the UK to do that. So I hope you track some of the things that work well and write all your ideas down about topics that you might be able to build both alone and with them. And I think that would really help you quite a bit. Any other question? Anybody want to unmute and share anything that they may have been able to build or thought about building? And if not, I will keep going because I have, you know, I have lots of ideas for you. I don't see anybody else's mics turning, so I'll put this back up. And these folks here, this was Honor. And I did an in-person event with them, and they were talking about joy, and can you not just see the joy on their faces? And you know, I love these pictures because it really does give you a sense of how invested people are in what they build, and it's the same impact when it's someone with dementia. But I got probably more email from this event. It was the largest group I had done, 65 people with one facilitator. That's a lot, but we went around each table, and it was probably one of the best 2.5 hours of my life. And just watching them interact with each other and get to know each other. We had them sitting at tables where they did not know each other. We had assigned seats, and it wasn't real popular when they first started, but they caught on, and it was awesome. And then they felt grateful that they didn't know the people that they were sitting with. So it can break, like I said, bridges, absolutely some bridges. So there you have it. And this is the picture I really want you to see. This was early on. So I came up with a couple of different strategies that you might like too. The pieces that Jenny was referring to a few minutes ago, the all white pieces, Lego makes a set called Lego Architecture, and the all white pieces are those. And when I go to Generations Crossing in Harrisonburg, Virginia, some of their activity work they do with their folks with dementia is they have an intergenerational group. And so when I build with them, when I'm capturing what the elders with dementia built with the little pre-kindergarten kids, I use the all white pieces for that because I want to distinguish what the kids did by themselves, what the elders did by themselves, and what they did together. And it's stunning. So there's another product called Dots, Lego Dots, DOTS. And that's what you're looking at there. So when my mother could no longer build, since she loved the Lego so much, I used the dots to make patterns. And it was the most stress reducing thing I have ever done. But look at her. She is putting the pieces in order. She is matching them. I remember crying when she was doing this. this was just a few months before she died too. And you're kind of like, wow, she was still with it. And you can see I had different shapes and different colors. That's what dots are there. And they were intended for kids making jewelry and other things, but boy, did it have an impact on my mom. And so you can use this a couple of different ways. You can do it in your support group where you get a little pack of dots from Target and a little plate. They call it a plate is something that you build on. This is the plate that comes in my kit, and it's just an 8x8 kit. And so they can, sort of build on that. So you can make, let everybody in your support group, for example, build puzzles that they can take home or, use later. And remember how soothing, in some cases, Rubik's Cubes were back in the day. People would do that as a stress reduction kind of thing. So you can make your own games with, Legos for your stress too. But boy, did my mother have a blast with it. So I've been building 4-piece puzzles for other folks and some of the other support groups that I work with. So I hope that, as we go, through, you can, be thinking about lots of ideas that you can use. I'm gonna minimize this for a second just to look in the chat and make sure there are no hands up or anything. Let's scroll through here, make sure I haven't missed anything. How much? Okay, so Jenny, yep. How many Legos do I own? That is a great question. Behind that curtain is my gym. And in that gym is a huge closet that goes through the length of the house. And I probably have 10 huge Lego tubs of Lego bricks. Because if I go back to that picture of my facilitation class, and this would be great for support groups. If I go back to that picture where you might have noticed there were all these like long, stretchy things going across the table for our facilitation class. And Lego makes something called connectors too. And what you can do in, using them with, folks with dementia or in support groups is you make a model, I make a model, and, these are our individual models. But suppose we want to connect. I want to connect with Jenny about those white pieces she had. Or I want to get with Laura about the 2 things, she wanted to do with the students. And so we want to make these connections. So there's so many things that, we can do with that. So I have probably one whole tub just of Lego connectors. And they're phenomenal pieces because a lot of them, move and some of them spin. And this piece, for example, spins. Everything I made for my mother after 2018 had a movable component. It either spun like that or it had bright colors that would move around in some way. And so I found all kinds of ways to communicate with her. And so I hope that helps too. And so I'm going to pose this one last question. We have about 8 more minutes, but I'm going to pose this one last question that I want you to think about. Now, we're only in February. So, kind of to sort of honor my mom, she was so joyous and kind and all of that. And the caregivers, they miss her so much because she would always say thank you to every single thing they did up until the last words she said were thank you. And just breaks my heart. But wow, did she have joy. And I think sometimes as caregivers, one of the things I want you to think about in your self-care is how are you going to maintain your joy for the rest of the year? We got a long way to go. And, Omicron 2 or whatever the name of that thing is, it's out there. And so there's all kinds of stuff out there that, tries to steal our joy. So what I would like for you to do, whenever you get your hands on some Lego bricks or whatever else makes you happy, is build something and then leave it on your desk. I want you to keep it in a place where you can see it all the time and be inspired by it. And the whole thing of thinking with your hands, it is a Lego staple. And the art, if you will, of building without the Lego instruction book is that it's all about you. And I think that's so key for self-care for us. It's all about us on that day. So you take your little bucket of bricks and you pour them out on the table and you do whatever you want to do with them. You can do, arrange them by colors. You can build, all kinds of things. based on what you are feeling on that day. So when I said people email me with their different strategies, I was not kidding. And so I think I often have people build a strategy. Okay, what is your worst caregiving challenge? And people will say that, trying to get them in the shower, or don't, so they don't throw their food on the ground when I make it. And then I ask them to build a strategy. How are they not going to get upset when that happens? So this lady built, two chairs and had the Lego people facing each other. And she said, I'm going to look my mom right in the eye so I can communicate more effectively. Wow. Okay. And so, yeah, come up with strategies too. So a lot of times I'll have people build a strategy or build an idea and then let it sit. So when you walk by from doing all your caregiver chores, when you walk by, I want you to see that whatever you built and be inspired by that. And then if you don't like it, perfect. See, we are right. We are right on time. And so what I want to do, you had that could be your homework assignment. And I want to leave you with this picture. Uh, this was 2 days before she died. And the picture, it's a little misleading because she does have her fingers wrapped around it, but she had lost all her strength to lift them up. And but look at how she still loved them. Do you know what I mean? Just, it was the last thing she held for sure. And she had lost the ability. You see, she's trying to attach them in the way they don't attach, but she was still doing it. And the thing I'm left with is that she loved Lego bricks until the end, and it was a thing that connected us for 57 years. And I think that when I'm sad, I'm always going to remember that thing that bound us together, forever. So I not only want to thank you for the ideas that we were able to share. Sorry about the camera thing, but I just want you to use your imagination anyway. But I want you to think about who inspires you, and I want you to start building. For those of you who weren't building today, and those of you who were, keep building. And so my mom is always going to be my inspiration. Some of you know I quit my job to do this full time. I think I was born to do this work. And now that she's not here, I don't have to rush home or work back. So I'll be even more dedicated to caregivers and helping them to care for themselves with some little teeny Lego bricks. And, you can just see how much fun that she's having. And, that's all I ever really cared about. So I want you to think about two things. Lego therapy can really inspire and uplift you. And I hope you can build at least once a week, maybe sneak in twice. And please take down my email. If you have a question, a comment, please reach out to me. I hope that we can, always, stick together. We are all in this together. And I hope that we can continue on. If you have ideas, send it to me, and I certainly will do the same. But now when you think of self-care and, activities, think Legos. Yes, Legos. And so I hope you have enjoyed our short time together, and that, you can go out into the world now and be able to, build your own dynasty, whatever that might be. So thank you all so much. And I think we're all going to head back to the main stage. I know there's going to be some other activities there too, and the vendor booths will be open too. So I think it's time for us to leave the room, and then head back to our thing. So I'm scrolling through quickly to see if we lost. Thank you guys so much um, for participating with this, and for your comments about my mom. I really appreciate it. Janae, I'm so glad you were here. Awesome. I look forward to talking to you too. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you back on the main stage. Congrats to you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.